government by the people, of the people, for the people. But the people are retarded.
Father, before I begin, bless me, Father, for I'm about to sin. America, I pledge allegiance to the United States of America, one nation, indivisible, under God, for real. And Corn Pop was a bad dude, and he ran a bunch of bad boys. Senators here. Chuck, stand up, Chuck. Let him see you. Oh, God love you. What am I talking about? I tell you what, you're making everybody else stand up, though, pal. Thank you very, very much. I tell you what, stand up for Chuck. The best way to get something done, if it holds near and dear to you that you like to be able to, anyway. From Charlotte, another line going from in Florida down to Tampa of Putin's kleptocracy. Yeah. America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to put him. The idea that Los Angeles and what am I doing here? For two reasons. One, you won't be safe in Joe Biden's America. We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by you know the thing. Let's be clear. I hear it all the time. Cumulative, definitely, I can play for the programs many times over. Well, I'm sick and tired of smart guys. Let me start off with two words. Made in America. Made in America.
Welcome back to another night of Shtick with Koolfrogg. I think I hit it just at the right time frame for that. 2 minutes, 10 seconds. We got the best and worst of Joe Biden. What's up, beautifully inappropriate? Good to see you, dear. He tickles my funny bone. He makes me laugh every time because he's so damn ignorant. Y'all bump that like button for me. Share this out to those places you like to share things. Let all your friends know where you're at and have them join you for conversation. Just beautiful. I appreciate you. I love you, dude. Glad that you're here. Hopefully you can hold up chat. Hold all those balls up. Seems as though I seriously planned on starting to show off with South China Sea, with things going on in South China Sea, because it every day it kind of just goes ahead and it evolves itself. But this fool of Joe Biden, he took the headline. He took the headline. I seriously, after watching this video, I was so upset and so disturbed and so saddened on the idiocy of this man. It says Joe Biden abruptly walks off a Medal of Honor ceremony before closing benediction. Humiliates recipient. Does exactly that. We can go ahead. We can read through all this, but the pictures really seriously tell the story. In this video, when you actually see what he does, yes, Parola Biden goes and just walks off, looks around. Okay, Secret Service is gonna follow him. Leaves this guy standing here, this recipient, by himself. Oh, come on. Take the stupid screen away. There's a damn share button right over the top of the freaking axe.
Ladies and gentlemen,
you can see it in his face
for the benediction.
He knows exactly what just happened.
Most
that
holy
his
God,
commander-in-chief
we thank you again.
Just walked off on him. Seriously.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me for the benediction.
That look in that man's face, that look of ignorance that Joe Biden gave as he walked off the fucking stage, leaving this man to stand here and cry. A man that's probably never cried so much in his life, to feel the way he did because what this asshole just so happened to do. I'm so disturbed with our commander-in-chief and what he's about, what he's exactly about, and where he's gone, where he's taken the great United States of America. He doesn't care about us. He doesn't care about his own military. He doesn't care one bit about it whatsoever. He does not care. He barely cares about himself. He's so pissed off with this guy right now. For what? And seriously, I had my day all set out. I had it set out earlier. Went back through and checked a couple places to see if there's anything I could do to, update just a little bit. And then probably about a half hour ago, I went and I looked one last time through a Gateway Pundit just to see if there's anything hard hitting. And this hit me. Seriously hit me so hard. I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? For this man, I'm going to see if I can't. I think I got that other screen to go away. Let's see if I can't reshare this without that screen. So you can actually see, obviously there's that look right there. That look right there says a lot. It says so much. This man that actually fought wars and did this, so pissed off right now that he did that to this man. To just walk off like it's nothing. Like it's nothing. It means absolutely nothing. Just strolls away. That look says everything. Says everything that anybody is so disturbing and so saddening. Exactly, TR. Demented in chief. He's so ridiculous. How's it going? Good to see you, brother. To see this, this is what he's actually done. He's not a commander in chief. He's not. He's not even demented in chief. He's seriously. He's worse than that. He's worse than that. He ruined tonight's show. I was all raring to go, and I run into this to see what he had actually done. Pisses me off to no end to see what he's done, or the absence of done. He's done zero things for this country. If you think that he cares, he doesn't. Like I said, he barely cares about himself. Selfish asshole. As Beautiful puts it, Parola. Parola. That's exactly what he is. If you don't know what Parola is, you go back to last night and you go and watch the as we call him a Parola over and over again and figure out what Parola really stands for. Miss this. What's the backstory? He seriously, dude, received the Medal of Honor. And before the benediction happened, Joe Biden walked off stage, leaving the man that he had just given the medal to stand there by himself. That's what it was about. That's exactly what it was about, Fast Group. Being that you asked. That's the answer. Our commander-in-chief, Mr. Ignorance himself, did just that. And left that man stand there by himself. Such an arrogant, ignorant asshole. And there's so many people that just, Joe Biden's the best. Bidenomics works. Let's give more money to more countries because they need it before we do. We don't even, who cares about Hawaii? Who cares? Who cares? It's nothing. Okay. On with the regular show. Everybody ready? Here we go. U.S. Philippines conduct naval drills in South China Sea. The U.S. and Philippine Naval Service has conducted joint drills in the South China Sea near an area where both Manila and Beijing lay claim to. Earlier, China had warned the neighbors against cozying up to Washington and destabilizing the region. In a statement on Monday, the Armed Forces for the Philippines Western Command said that the country's guided missile frigate BRP Jose Rizal and the U.S. Navy guided missile destroyer USS Ralph Johnson had carried out maneuvers in Manila's exclusive economic zone west of the Palawan Island. Military officials noted that it was the first time the countries held such joint Philippine-U.S. exercises in that area. First time. It's the first time that the Philippines had showed any show of force in the South China Sea, with the United States standing right next to them. How ignorant are we actually? Are we seriously going to push push for it to actually happen? I mean, World War III, like we already assumed, is already here. For us to do this, Fast Group, I see. I know that you're a Marine. We've talked to you about that. I'd want nothing from this degenerate. I get that, but at the same time, when you're receiving a Medal of Honor and you get walked off, how do you think that would actually make you feel? To have your commander-in-chief just walk away from you. Like it didn't matter. That's the problem. To continue with this, as early as year, Manila agreed to allow U.S. forces to use 4 additional bases in the country, prompting a warning from China and the Philippines to binding itself into a chariot of geopolitical strife. If a video address at the think tank conference hosted by Foreign Policy Community in Indonesia, Jakarta, on Sunday, Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi also admonished regional powers not to let the tragedy akin of the one playing out in Ukraine repeat itself in Asia. The diplomat urged neighboring countries to promote regional security through dialogue and cooperation and denounced the backstage manipulator, apparently referring to the U.S., fanning the flames of controversy over the South China Sea territorial disputes. And that's exactly what it is. But, we were told over and over again not to worry about it by this current president of the United States, not to worry about it whatsoever. All is good. China's not our enemy. As he's sitting there fanning the flames over and over again to actually make it be something that it doesn't necessarily need to be. Late last month, Vice Admiral Carl Thomas, commander of U.S. 7th Fleet, which is part of the United States Pacific Fleet, assured the Philippines that Washington would back to countering China's aggressive behavior in the South China Sea. Thomas made the comments 3 weeks after an incident in which the Chinese Coast Guard deployed water cannons against Philippine vessels trying to resupply a warship that Manila was intentionally grounded on a contested South China Sea shoal in 1999. Tensions between Philippines and China have escalated since Ferdinand Marcos Jr. took office as president in Manila last year. Marcos has forged closer defense ties with the U.S. and asserted his country's territorial claims in the South China Sea. The U.S. has been courting other countries in the region that have territorial disputes with China, as they had been. They've been doing this for a while. This isn't something really new. What's up, Puffer, Boomer, Suzanne? Good to see us. Glad y'all here. Oh, I get what you're saying, Fast Grip. He didn't deserve to be walked off either, though. Regardless to what it was. If it was Trump that was standing there and actually walked off, dang well that they would be spewing about it. They'd be like, oh my God, I can't believe he just did that. Because Joe Biden's fucking dumbass does it. It's all okay. It's okay. No big deal. I get your point, though. Nobody wants anything to do with the guy. It's just the point of the matter. If it was anybody else, for any other reason, it'd be horseshit. Puffer says, Frog, everyone laying back. Love you too, dear. Glad you're here. Do what you need to do, and let me talk you to sleep. Let me talk you to sleep. As far as that goes, to actually see the tensions between Philippines and China be escalated, one more time. Not only because of the goings on that were already happening with Ferdinand in Manila, it just so happens to be that we're okay with going ahead and sending our military might to go run joint drills with the Philippines in and around territories that they believe is theirs when China lays claim to the same territories. We do what we do. We do what we do. And we continuously do that over and over again. So then, because we're speaking of China, everybody knows that when we talk about China, we always think about the same thing. Communist crappy party. Revealed Chinese spy tried to infiltrate U.S. bases more than 100 times. PM. Post Millennial has their own little ad thing, whatever that they like to throw up. So give me one moment. Here you go. It has been revealed that over the past few years, around 100 Chinese nationals have managed to find their way into sites across the United States that are important to the national security. In many cases, they have caught taking pictures of otherwise recording their surroundings, leading officials to suggest that they could be engaging in espionage on behalf of the Chinese Communist Party. Tensions between China and the U.S. have risen dramatically in recent years, and the revelations have led to the latter to fear the former is now using civilians to dig up potentially sensitive information that could aid in the CCP's efforts. We just went through this, whatever, last month, maybe a month before, where there was a couple of Chinese nationals that had actually made themselves into the Navy. They made themselves into the Navy. They actually went through all they needed to do to actually make them on and put them in place on an aircraft carrier where they were taking sensitive pictures of everything that had anything to do with that boat. They took pictures of it. And where did those pictures go? Oh, they went straight to China. They went straight to China. So guess what happens when you actually when you use espionage against the United States? Oh, you don't get put in prison or anything. You don't get held. You get shipped back to where you came from. Oh, that makes sense. That makes sense. Let's do that. Tensions between China and the U.S. have risen dramatically in recent years, and the revelations have led to the latter. Oh, I heard about that. According to the Wall Street Journal, approximately 10,000 controlled turnarounds are recorded in military bases across the nation, mostly involving people who simply took a wrong turn. In some cases, however, factors were present and warranted further investigation. Chinese nationals have been spotted taking pictures of U.S. Army ranges, swimming near military facilities, and even using drones to obtain aerial footage of sites. In 2023, Chinese nationals were arrested after illegally entering a naval airbase in Key West, Florida. They ultimately pleaded guilty and were sentenced to around a year in prison. Cape Canaveral, which is a site in Kennedy Space Center, has also been targeted. None of the trespassers were charged with espionage. However, two couples were ordered to leave the country in 2019 after attempting to drive into a military base in Virginia. The Federal Bureau of Investigation reiterated the statement in the Wall Street Journal that the CCP is engaged in broad, diverse campaign of theft and malign influence without regard to laws or international norms. The spokesperson for Chinese embassy in Washington, D.C. dismissed the allegations as purely intentioned fabrications, adding, "We urge the relevant U.S. officials to abandon the Cold War mentality, stop groundless accusations, and do more things that are conducive to enhancing mutual trust between the two countries and friendship between the two peoples." And you notice the article doesn't even bring up the last bit of espionage that actually occurred. They don't care. Nobody cares. Nobody really seriously thinks about it and calls it for what it was. Fast Group, this is an open mic night? No open mic tonight. This is a regular Shtick with Koolfrogg where I go through the news and I give you my thoughts and opinions on it. And it really seriously, pay attention Friday night. I'll throw you a link. We'll do something. We'll do something if you're interested. For them to not even bring up the last incident, it really kind of seriously seems like they just kind of swept it under the rug, like it's absolutely nothing to worry about. For this to go as far as it has gone, for them to continuously go through this and do all these things that they've done over and over again, spying on the United States and sending it back to the Chinese Communist Party, for them to continuously do that is not safe. We've been looking at having issues, for a long time. Definitely watch for Friday night. Watch for Friday night. At some point in time, I'll throw you a link. You come join me. I'm down. I enjoy talking to you. So For the Chinese spies to do all of this over and over again, more than 100 times, according to what they're saying, it's really disturbing. What do the Chinese really know? They've used things like spy balloons, and they just know that they have satellites out there that are doing the same thing. Why they needed to infiltrate like they did, to send troops in and around, make them troops, or make them, have individuals show up, trying to gather information as they were. I really seriously hate it, and it's very disturbing. The Chinese diving around our military bases, claiming they're tourists of the map. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Of course they are. Off the map. Yes. No, I got you. It's really strange and disturbing to see how far they've really seriously gone with this. I really don't like it, and it's scary to see when our own commander in chief can't even take care of his own military, and see that they're actually taken care of the way they deserve to be. To go to this point, to this extent, that the Chinese spies have actually been doing this for a while. How long have the Chinese spies actually been around? It's kind of confusing. It's kind of confusing to actually see how this has turned itself around into now because we were told don't worry about it. The Chinese party was not something to be feared. After 4 years of listening to Donald Trump continuously say China, he said China so many times that there's clips of him just saying China, 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 China. He seriously, it makes no sense how we've allowed this. We're not charging people with the espionage. We're not charging anybody with anything. This article doesn't even bring up the last set that they sent back home, as opposed to charging them with espionage. It's so sad and so scary to see where we're going. Clinton brought the Chinese in the World Forum. Now they're a BRICS nation. Yep, exactly that. Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. Yes, BRICS. Chinese led. Though it's actually spelt the way it is, Chinese led. It's the Chinese that are running that. It's the Chinese that are ones that are getting paid to protect them. It's China. Yes, Saudi Arabia will be there in January, as well as multiple other countries that have already been signed in to become next members of BRICS. It's disturbing. It's disturbing. This country is not going to be standing any longer if we continue to allow all the ignorance to continue. All the ignorance. When I say all the ignorance, as we kind of move on here just a little bit, green energy firm promoted by Biden has deep ties to Chinese Communist Party. What's up, amazing disgrace? Good to see you. China has Americans custody for espionage, but the United States goes and releases them and doesn't charge anybody with espionage because we don't care. We don't care about our own country. We don't care. If we cared, we would not have elected this asshole to be our president of the United States. The most popular president ever with the most votes, 80 million votes, more than any other president ever. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. And now you got this shit. Green energy first has received significant support from Democrat President Joe Biden's administration, has deep ties to the Chinese Communist Party. Goshen Incorporated, a California-based energy company, was greenlit for a Michigan electric vehicle battery plant project by the Biden administration. However, national security experts and Republicans are now raising the alarm after discovering the company's extensive links to China's communist dictatorship. Goshen Incorporated plans to invest $2.4 billion into EV battery plants in Big Rapids, Michigan, according to multiple reports and government press releases. We've actually gone through this. We've gone through this particular motion of them trying to do this, and the farmers in the area held the biggest stink, were able to hold it off and prevent them from doing just that. Prevent them from building these battery power plants or whatever factories. For them to be successful was amazing, but for how long? For how long? Because this is Michigan. This is Michigan, one of the more corrupt states that are out there. Central bank digital currency, we already have fiat. I mean, the U.S. dollar ain't worth a shit, but most of those foreign subsidies that were purchased with U.S. dollars, no matter which country you're a part of, is no longer happening. The majority of that stuff is being purchased with Chinese yuan. The project has received full support from Biden's Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States and Michigan's Democrat Governor Gretchen Whitmer. However, the project has come under heightened scrutiny over concerns that Goshen is likely to a CCP influence operation. The firm's parent company and controlling owner of Goshen High-Tech Power Energy, which is headquartered in Hefei City, China, a Foreign Agents Registration Act filing shows President Donald Trump's former National Security Council official Aaron Walsh is raising serious concerns about the partnership. National security is a shared burden, warns Walsh, who also served in the Commerce and State Departments. The dichotomy between interests of Biden administration and the Governor Whitmer versus the protection of the state and the national security is stark. Their unbridled ambition for a green energy transition is not at all grounded in U.S. energy security. Biden and Whitmer's embrace of Goshen comes as the GOP grows increasingly frustrated in how Democrats have prioritized China-linked green energy initiatives over fossil fuels. Democrats insist they're backing Chinese firms to advance the green agenda in order to purportedly fight climate change. The ignorance in that statement right there is beyond is ridiculous for you to even think that they're even telling you the truth. We all know that China is one of the largest producers of coal-fired plant. They're going to continue to use them because they need to, so that they can produce things like the materials being used for these clean energy systems. Like the United States is the only country that needs to go along with this green energy initiative. It's so lame. It's so lame that Democrats are so stupid to the point. The big D Democrats. I'm not talking about the people out in the world that claim to be Democrats. I'm talking the ones that are Democrats, are political Democrats. Those ones that are pushing for this ridiculous agenda. Meanwhile, Goshen is sought to alleviate any criticism of its U.S. operations. Goshen's North American Manufacturing Vice President Chuck Thielen recently told Political that Americans' concerns about communism is not based on in reality. Oh, it's not? It's not? Oh, gee, thank you for making up my mind for me, Chuck Thielen, because you know how I'm supposed to feel. Rumors that you've heard about bringing communism to North America are just flat out fear mongering and really have nothing based in reality. Oh, really? Really? We're not concerned. We're not concerned whatsoever. Mm-mm. Have you been following Whitmer's Fednapping travel? Yes. Yes, I had been actually watching Radix. So as far as that goes, her stuff is very interesting. It's too bad what uh, they're doing to her, trying to suppress her. Obviously, she knows too much. But Goshen High Tech's 2022 Chinese language ESG report shows that it formed a CCP branch in 2010. In 2014, a CCP committee in Daily Caller reported that same Goshen High Tech document also describes how the Haifa-based firm employs 923 CCP members, including Goshen High Tech CEO Li Zhen, who is said to be the party secretary of company's committee, according to the outlet. Meanwhile, Goshen High Tech's Articles of Association declare the company shall set up a party organization and carry out party activities in accordance to the to the Constitution of the Communist Party of China. The company shall ensure necessary conditions for carrying out party activities. The secretary of the party committee shall be the chairman. Whilst now senior research fellow in international studies at the Heritage Foundation's Asia Studies Center, warns that Democrats are failing to put the American people first. Whitmer has chosen the interests of the CCP and not the people of Michigan. Democrats do not care about their constituents. Democrats do not care anything about any of this when it comes down to it. They refuse. Yes. Riddick's firm, Christina. That's exactly who I have been following when it comes to the particular case. Sadly, though she was with me this past week for conversations with Koolfrogg, she couldn't delve into the case and couldn't say much about more than what she really could say, as she knows that she was being suppressed. Didn't hear about the big socialist conference in Chicago, or how the CCP is buying massive amounts of land, farms, and resources. I mean, they haven't, but we have. we have. We've heard it over and over again. But we're just stupid peons. We have no clue what we're looking at, what we're reading. We're just spitting ridiculous thoughts and opinions. One of the proposed Goshen battery plants in Michigan will reportedly be located 100 miles of Camp Grayling, the largest National Guard training facility in the United States, and 60 miles of military armories. At the camp, Michigan's National Guard, on an annual basis, notably trains a portion of the military in Taiwan, and Wall Street Journal reported. It's not merely the fact that Goshen's U.S. outfit has ties to China, but is resulting in scrutiny over its EV initiative, which Whitmer dubbed the biggest ever economic development project in northern Michigan. The state's Appropriations Committee voted 10-9 in April to authorize the company to receive $175 million in taxpayer dollars. The decision came after a public hearing that saw locals taking aim at Democrats for, in the words of Big Rapids resident Marjorie Steele, casting aside communities' pleas to table this vote until some small semblance of due diligence can be performed. Aside from having hundreds of CCP employees, China's Goshen High Tech took its staff on field trips in July and August 2021 to memorials for communist revolutionaries in the country's Inoi province, according to the footage of the company's website unearthed by the Daily Caller. Employees on the first day of the July trip donned matching Red Army uniforms, while the next day visited a hall and pledged the CCP oath, footage shows. For Michael Sobolik, senior Indo-Pacific Studies Fellow of American Foreign Policy Council think tank, Biden's Inflation Reduction Act has made the U.S. dependent on China. The $740 billion tax, climate, and healthcare spending package was signed into law by the president in 2022 and paved the way for Goshen to qualify for millions of dollars in tax credits. In reality, Chinese companies are exploiting the IRA and are setting up shop inside America with taxpayer subsidies, Sobolik told the Washington Examiner. It's dangerous, he continued. So basically, as opposed to requiring them to purchase the land themselves and build the building and start from scratch, we're giving them the money. We're going to give them the money to go ahead and do all this because it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. We'll give you the money right out of the taxpayer's back pocket. They won't know. They won't know. It won't hurt them. It's all good. No, it's not. No, it's not. America should be reducing the exposure to CCP companies and insulting our supply chains, not making them more exposed to predations of our primary adversary. Republicans in Congress have sought to stop the IRA from boosting foreign entities since it passed. In March, Senator Marco Rubio put forth legislation which has not been voted on that would restrict subsidies under the law to Chinese battery companies. Rubio noted upon introducing the measure that an estimated 76% of the world's electric battery production comes from the CCP-controlled and backed manufacturers. This week, Whitmer called for a 100% clean energy standard to allegedly protect our air and water for future generations while creating jobs, lowering costs, and enhancing reliability. We need to expand domestic energy production. Part of governor's wish list included a sweeping mandate for energy in the state to be produced from green sources, including solar and wind. There's a lot of great American companies that would have loved the opportunity, the money, and would have brought jobs to our country while supporting our way of life. Matthew Seeley, head of Michigan Conservative Coalition, said in a statement, "Now we've got a company directly tied to the CCP coming into our state." Oh, oops. Now we got a direct tie to the CCP. You don't say. Boom, boom, boom. Like we didn't realize this was ever going to happen. We've watched the Chinese Communist Party continually trying to do different things to the United States. From trying to fund our educations, to go ahead and build these types of plants, to housing military in Cuba and Canada, to military police stations in and around the United States as well as Canada. All of the things that China's done that we were warned of by the predecessors. Remember this guy up here, Mr. Trump? Remember that guy? He was warning us about them. Over and over again, warning us about them. But we didn't care. We were too ignorant to the point. We didn't care. Nobody cared. It didn't matter. He was Orange Man bad, and that's all that mattered. That's all that mattered. It did not matter what was going on with China. What they were going to try and produce, such as solar and wind power plants out of the natural resources that we're told we can't be using. Bought and paid for out of China. But this is going to help us. This is going to help us to actually build these battery power plants, or I'm sorry, these battery facilities in Michigan, in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. I wonder why they would pick the place that they did. Does it make any sense? It doesn't. It makes zero sense. Unless we were willing to go ahead and sell our farmland to foreign entities. Yes, farmland to foreign entities. Nothing to see here. It's all good. Nah, it's not. It's not all good. It's not all good. And it's getting very scary, very disturbing real quick. 5 watching, 9 likes. I know there's a couple other people that are running shows, so we'll give everybody else a little bit more time to get here while they're still doing other things. We're going to continue. Look at the monkey, not the grinder. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. As we speak of monkeys. Couple choice words that are in this, so we're going to try doing our best to not actually say those words. We're going to see if we can say other words. West using Zelensky's Jewish heritage to distract from Nazism in Ukraine, says Putin. Using Vladimir Zelensky's Jewish heritage to cover the culpability of Ukrainian nationalists in the Holocaust during World War II is disgusting. Russian President Vladimir Putin said on Tuesday, and that the followers of the Stepan Bandera were responsible for the killing of 1.5 million Jews. Just read something within the last few days where there's a guy in Germany, 98 years old, being charged with killing some Jews. From all the way back in 1945. Yes, all the way back then. I think it's important to repeat the Western handler's place in the head of the modern Ukraine, an ethnic Jew, a man of Jewish background with Jewish roots. In his way, in my opinion, cover up the anti-human basis of the current Ukrainian state. What makes the entire situation so highly disgusting to have an ethnic Jew mask the glorification of Nazism and those who carried out certain deals in Ukraine. Things were, people were placed, superheated ovens, stuff like that, shipped off on trains. Exterminated 1.5 million people. The Russian president added ordinary Israeli citizens have figured this out the best. Just look at what they say online. Putin had just finished meeting with Victory Committee, the advisory body charged with patriotic education and veterans affairs. The Russian president brought up an issue during conversation with one of the committee members, pointing out that Moscow may not have done enough to present the facts about the atrocities of Nazi collaborators in Ukraine and the Baltic states. They're waking up to the situation. They're waking up to the situation, and people are starting to realize what is going on. Those in Israel had already known. We had already been pushing on this particular channel of this exact issue, that the Catholic conservative of Putin in Russia are fighting off them Yazis out of Ukraine. He's said it several times. He's said it several times. But we're going to be ignorant to the point. We're going to be so ignorant to the point that it doesn't matter. We're going to turn around and we're going to support them because they are the money machine that we need to go ahead and funnel money through. This is all true, by the way. Exactly, Benfro. Exactly. When you look at actual archival documents, the blood in our veins simply freezes. It's impossible to look at it without tears. It needs to be pulled out of the unshown. Who are the current authorities glorifying? These anti-humans are putting bloody killers on a pedestal and carrying banners with their portraits so they march as they march down Main Street of their cities, Putin told the committee. The German military and the SS delegated the massacres of Jews to local nationalists and anti-Semites like Stefan Bandera's OUN and UPA, the Russian president pointed out. I'm not sure what all the people of Ukraine know about this, so let's do what we can here to show them. All right, Putin told the committee. So Putin realizing what he's actually fighting. He's realizing what he's actually fighting. He knows what he's been fighting. He knows why he's been fighting it. Because he's against them Yazis. Them Yazis that we've, as the United States has done over and over again, protected. We're protecting them. We're stopping them from being destroyed, humiliated by Russia. Why? I don't know. I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Why would we go this far? Why are we dumping billions and billions of dollars other than to launder money? We're not doing anything for this country. We're not doing anything for Ukraine that's good. This is so super dangerous. The German military and the SS delegated the massacres of the Jews, the local nationalists, and anti-Semites. I'm not sure that all people in Ukraine know about this. See, I'm reading things all over again. Bandera was declared a war criminal by both Soviet Union and Poland for his role in the Holocaust and mass murder of Poles in present-day Western Ukraine. The pro-U.S. government in Kyiv declared that the national hero in 2010. However, the nationalists have honored him ever since with torchlight processions in major Ukrainian cities to mark his birthday every January 1st. Putin has previously expressed the bafflement of Zelensky would embrace the glorification of Bandera given his Jewish heritage. Zelensky's grandfather, Semyon, had also fought in the Second World War, earning 2 Red Star medals for courage and heroism. The current Ukrainian president was previously an actor and ran for head of state in 2019 on a promise of peace with Russia, only to completely change course and embrace the hardline nationalists within months of taking office. Just nothing, absolutely no reason that we should question any of this that's happening. No reason that Ukraine should care or pay attention. No reason at all for us to even get into this. But we can't help ourselves. We can't help ourselves but get into everybody else's wars, everybody else's entanglements with other countries. For Putin to go after Zelensky, go after him who says he's Jewish, who says he's Jewish because that's what his heritage says he is, that's promoting and pushing to allow Yazidism to take hold in Ukraine. Most of them are. That Azov Battalion Yazidis are something. It's something to really pay attention to. I have the tendency to pay attention to it. I bring it up as much as I possibly can. And I know some like, oh, we're listening to this again. We're talking about this yet one more time. 500 and some odd days later. I don't know. I don't even know what we're exactly. It was at 550, 560. 500 some odd days. When it comes down to it, it doesn't matter how many days. It's too long and too much money. And they're saying this isn't going to end anytime soon. This isn't going to end anytime soon. Nowhere near ending anytime soon. So, as far as that goes, that's world news. That's world news. So we're going to move on from the world news and go into, United States politics. Now, when you think of United States politics, you have the tendency to think about the asshole in charge. And both sides of this ridiculousness. The one thing that I don't think a lot of people really hear enough of may actually be about this lady, Fannie Willis. Yes. All 19 defendants pled not guilty, waive arraignments in Georgia's election case. All 19 defendants in Fulton County, Georgia District Attorney Fannie Willis' 2020 election probe have pleaded not guilty to the charges against them and waived their formal arraignments. Former White House Chief Staff Mark Meadows is among the final defendants to enter a plea on September 5th, alongside former Trump attorney John Eastman and former Coffee County election official Missy Hampton. Former Coffee County GOP Chair Kathy Latham entered her plea on September 4th, while former Georgia GOP Chair David Schaefer and Georgia State Senator Sean Still entered theirs on September 3rd. Former Justice Department official Jeffrey Clark's plea was submitted on September 1st. In total, 41 charges have been filed against the defendants, including violations of Georgia's Racketeering, Influence, and Corruption Organization (RICO) Act, solicitation of violation of oath by public officer, impersonating a public officer, and forgery, among others. The August 14th indictment alleges that President Donald Trump and other co-defendants engaged in conspiracy to unlawfully change the outcome of Georgia's 2020 presidential election. President Trump pleaded not guilty on August 31st to the 13 charges he's facing. Removal decision pending. Mr. Meadows, who is charged with violating the state's RICO Act, is soliciting violations of oath by the public officer and one of the handful of defendants seeking to have the cases removed in federal court. According to 98-page indictment, the former White House official's role as alleged racketeering conspiracy and coordinating with attending meetings to strategize ways to disrupt and delay the counting of certain things that on J6. The document also claims that the pressured an investigator into the Georgia Secretary of State's office to speed up the Fulton County signature verification process. Then he participated in a phone call in which President Trump urged Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger to find evidence. Let's just quote the one word. Don't quote everything that he said. Just quote the one word, because the one word is going to actually be the one that we are looking at. We don't care about all the other words that we used around it, before it, after it, in other sentences. Let's just use this one word. With zero on the one word and make it be that we're gonna try charging him for whatever he's done for the one word. In filing a notice of removal, Mr. Meadows' legal team noted that the actions he had been indicted for were performed in his capacity as federal official. As such, they argue that the case should either be dismissed or tried in a federal court. U.S. District Judge Steve C. Jones in Northern District of Georgia held a hearing in the matter on August 20th, during which he heard several hours of testimony from Mr. Meadows and Mr. Raffensperger and other witnesses. After the hearing, the Obama appointed judge ordered the defense and prosecution to brief him on whether he could hear the case in federal court if it was determined that at least one, but not all, of the overt acts in which Mr. Meadows stands accused had occurred under the color of his office. Prosecutors responded with such a finding would not be sufficient to authorize removal because Mr. Meadows' prosecution was not due to any singular overt act, but rather because of knowingly and willingly entered into an agreement to violate the Georgia RICO Act. The defendant is charged with count one, with agreeing to join conspiracy that planned to overturn the lawful results of that particular ordeal in Georgia. Prosecutors wrote on August 31st filing a scenario where at least one, but not all, of the overt acts attributed to the defendant in count one of the indictment occurred under color of office would not demonstrate his agreement to join the RICO conspiracy described in count one was an act for or related to his duties as chief of staff. Something deep in my ear. Describe count one as the act is related to the duties of chief of staff, but Mr. Meadows' attorney noted that under the federal office removal statute, the civil lawsuits or criminal prosecutions against the directed federal officers may be removed to the appropriate U.S. District Court for the relating to any act under color of federal office. Ms. Willis initially proposed March 4th, 2024, the day before Super Tuesday, as a trial start date for all defendants. But as the former president is also a current presidential candidate, he objected to that date. Fellow defendant Kenneth Chesebro also objected, demanding a speedy trial, so Judge Scott McAfee approved a November 3rd trial date in Mr. Chesebro only. As other defendants are expected to follow suit, Ms. Willis alternatively proposed October 23rd, but President Trump's lead counsel said that date was too soon for him to be adequately prepared for trial, respectfully requiring less than 2 months preparation for time to defend a 98-page indictment, charging 19 defendants and 41 various charges, including a RICO conspiracy charge, with 161 overt acts, soliciting, violating the oath of a public officer, false statements and writings, forgery, influencing witnesses, computer crimes, conspiracy to defraud the state, and other offenses would violate President Trump's federal and state constitutional rights to a fair trial and due process of law, wrote Stephen Saito, President Trump's attorney, in the court filing. They're going to continue to do this. They don't want him to be let go on any of these charges. They want to hold him on any and all charges because they don't want him running for president ever again. Koolfrogg, we must think who benefits from the war between Russia and Ukraine. Follow the money. The U.S. military war machine doesn't profit without unrest. Why did Brandon leave $80 billion in military in Afghanistan? Why not? Why not? So that he could actually fund the other side. I get that. They want it to be something larger than what it is, but why we keep on funding this war against the people that we are is ridiculous. And the 300,000 Russian soldiers that are standing behind, waiting for all that to be ran through, destroyed, will come through and finish the job. They'll come through and finish the job when that's all done with. For us to think that this is going to end, miraculously with Ukraine actually winning, it's not going to happen. The attorney joined President Trump team in August 24, just hours before the former president Fulton County arrest. The new date that conflict is Mr. Seto's schedule is to appear in court in another case in Florida set to begin on September 26th. President Trump's team is hoping for a later trial after the 2024 election. They're not going to allow it to go all the way out to 2024 election. Not if there's already indictments in full that they're currently working on. What's up, Ellie? Good to see you, dear. As far as this particular case goes, having every single one of them go ahead and plead not guilty is already the best thing for them, because they're trying to bring them up on RICO acts. If they find even one of them guilty, just one, every single one of them get charged. They're trying to charge them all at the same time. They're trying to do it for a reason. If there's a weak link, and they can actually get at that weak link and they can destroy this whole thing, they take down the whole group. They take down the whole group all at once. Even if it isn't something that we should really even be looking at. So then, four ways Georgia Republicans could remove Fani Willis. There are four methods Georgia Republicans can explore to remove Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis, though just one option is most realistic. A news expert told Newsweek Willis, a Democrat, has become a central political figure tied to Donald Trump after she launched the investigation into alleged election interference conducted by the former president and his allies. Trump and 18 others were indicted last month by a grand jury, prompting actions from some within the GOP to oust Willis with support of Republican Governor Brian Kemp. But Kemp, whose relationship with Trump has been tumultuous since the 2020 election, has rejected the notion that the strong arming of Willis politically. On Thursday, the governor pushed back on a special legislative session to investigate the Atlanta-based district attorney, referring to it as political theater and bucking constitutional norms. Clark Cunningham, a law professor at Georgia State University, told Newsweek via phone that he views a handful of options at concerned Republicans' disposal to remove Willis. How could Fani Willis be impeached? One way would be if Willis was indicted for a felony. Try bringing it up on the same charges that she's trying to throw at Donald Trump and his group of cronies. If the Attorney General Republican Christopher Carr indicted her on a felony, she would be suspended and then eventually removed as she was convicted. So just by simply indicting her and bringing up on a single felony charge of any sort would immediately put her in suspension. Immediately put her in suspension. Then she wouldn't, anything that this is going on with this particular case would be squashed immediately. He recalled a similar situation occurring in Paulding County District Attorney Donald Dick Donovan in 2020. How do you get a name like Dick from Donald Donovan? I mean, Don? Okay, Dick. A Metro Atlanta prosecutor who is charged with felonies, including bribery and making false statements, and later indicted. In January 2022, he pleaded guilty and resigned. Another method to entertain Willis's removal is impeachment, Cunningham said, which is highly unlikely considering that it requires 2/3 of a 56-member Georgia Senate to vote in favor. They don't have 2/3 Republicans in the Senate, even assuming every Republican would vote for it. The third way would be to recall election, which would let the voters of Fulton County decide. Willis won her Democratic primary in August 2020 with over 71% of the vote and ran unopposed for the general Fulton County. In general, Fulton County contains nearly 3-1 Democrat advantage in terms of voter demographics. Anyway, so sorry about that. A little bit of a tadpole interference. The third way would be to recall election, which would let the voters of Fulton County decide. Willis won her Democratic primary in August 2020 with over 71% of the vote and ran unopposed in the general. Fulton County contains nearly 3-1 Democratic advantage in terms of voter demographics. If anything could lead Willis's ousting, it could be a new commission signed into law by Kemp in May that has the legal power to remove local prosecutors who aren't able to fulfill their constitutional or statutory duties. Kemp said Wednesday that prosecuting attorneys qualifications commission which will start accepting complaints from prosecutors in October 1 could weigh in on the issue, even though he personally has not seen any evidence that Willis's actions or behavior requires its input. I think the commission might very well either adopt a formal policy or informal policy that if there's a complaint made against the district attorney, would be a case that is pending and the commission would not take any action until the case is over to prevent the commission being used to interfere with the court proceedings. He said he would be surprised if the complaint was filed specifically attacking Willis on the basis of the Trump indictment and that the PAC-C didn't let the case play out in court. However, the complaints for removal, such as Willis's pledge to not sign the state's abortion-related heartbeat bill, could potentially be a basis for removal. They're looking at it. They're looking at multiple different ways to remove this lady from her position. And it seems to me, reading through all this, the easiest way to do that is to get through this guy. Get to Kemp. Let Kemp do what he needs to do to hold her off on any and all actions. Bring her up on some kind of charge of some sort, and they're trying to stop Trump running a fourth time. Fourth time? You're talking fourth time. You mean third time? You mean third time. Sean D. Sarcasm, what's up? I'm confused, Grim. Explain to me how you think it's a fourth time. On Thursday, Moore reiterated his calls for a special session and wrote a letter to Kemp Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, a key figure in the Trump indictment, demanding it to conduct thorough investigation into the actions undertaken by Willis, unsure of the integrity of legal proceedings, and uphold the principles of justice that form the bedrock of our country. He also attacked Kemp, saying he wasn't being honest in the public to push back against said session. Kemp is allowing the disdain of President Trump to cloud his judgment. Morrison, in a statement shared in Newsweek on Friday, I encourage him to take a deep breath and read the Georgia Constitution, specifically Section 2, Paragraph 7, which outlines his clear power to call an emergency session. As the corrupt Fulton County DA continues to target Donald Trump, I only have one question for the governor. When are you going to stand with the people of Georgia and convene an emergency session that your constituents are demanding? Carl Cavelli, a political science professor in the University of North Georgia, told Newsweek via email that Kemp is in a unique situation as the popular two-term Republican governor had good approval ratings, but has one major vulnerability as seen by many other Republicans. It's more emblematic of split with the GOP rank and file, he added. Kemp is emboldened by being relatively popular governor who was reelected by the comfortable margin. He is emboldened by more independent of the party itself. However, he has a lurking vulnerability he doesn't want to risk alienating many Georgia Republicans who are firmly on Donald Trump's side. He wanted Oprah as his vice. Never. American protectionism and health insurance for all. Doubt it. What's up, Elizabeth OG? Good to see you. Glad you're here. Miss somebody? Hey, bros. Good to see you, dear. Glad you're here. Okay, good to see you all. I'm glad you're all here. Smash that like button for me if you can. So Kemp seems to be trying to distance himself from Trump while trying to quell any opposition from Republicans by rationalizing and intellectualizing his own actions. In a sense, he's trying not to say that he won't help Trump, but rather that he can't help Trump because of legal and constitutional issues with the demands of Senator Moore and others. I wish that they didn't think that the senators actually had as much pull as they think they do. Senators shouldn't be elected anymore. We should go back to the way it was initially supposed to be, where senators were appointed by the governor of the state. That's who's supposed to be the state president. Your governor is the one that's supposed to appoint these people. For us to had switched it to electing them as opposed to being appointed really changed a lot of things. Now I get it. You have the abilities when you're electing to get somebody from each side, potentially, or you have a more of a chance of putting in who you want, as opposed to who's being put in by the likeness of the governor. Now they're trying to say that this governor really isn't the best governor, that he has his issues because he's a Republican. Oh, okay. Because he's a Republican, he's an issue. I really hope that they can figure something out to go after Trump or go after and release Trump on these particular charges. Go after Fani Willis and remove her from being able to continue with this clown attack. It's not really a witch hunt. It's a clown attack. She's clowning around and she's trying to do something that she never really could before. Now I remember, Graham, before I click on this Wikipedia page that you got here, I remember when I was a kid watching with my mom Oprah Winfrey, because Oprah back then was a big deal. Oprah back then was a huge deal, and you needed to ask Donald Trump 2000 presidential campaign. I can't click on this link. It won't allow me. But Wikipedia Wikipedia for what it is. See if it lets me. I was trying to copy and paste it. Yeah, it's not allowing me to either. Yeah, it's not allowing me to go to that direct link that you're trying to throw me at. Whatever. I know that he's said several times that he would want to run for president, and that or he would run for president if things got bad enough. He's said that several times. So, I mean, he didn't really have the 2000 run that you're thrown at, particularly as he wasn't ever on the campaign trail. He never got out to where he wanted to actually be. I don't believe that, though this is a Wikipedia, Donald Trump's 2000 presidential campaign, New York real estate magnate Donald Trump announced the creation of Presidential Exploratory Committee on October 7th, 1999. It never got anywhere. He was never even looked at. He was previously considered presidential run in 1988 as a Republican, but chose not to run. In 2000, Jesse Ventura persuaded Trump to seek presidential nomination in the Reform Party. Yeah, it was under the Reform Party. Big deal. It did nothing, which was fracturing despite achieving a ballot access and qualifying matching funds as a result of businessman Ross Perot's 1996 presidential campaign and the party's ticket. Yeah, he never made anything out of this. He was unsuccessful. He was unsuccessful all the way back in the 80s, unsuccessful in the 2000s. Only once he got here to 2016 that he got somewhere. Thanks for the point, though. Because that is interesting to be refreshed on or whatever. There's a lot of things that happen. There's a lot of things that happen that are out there. So much information that not everybody can be totally with all of that information. There's a lot. I know more names of American politicians than I do my own. Wow, this is terrible. Free Julian Assange. Yeah, Elizabeth Oji, it's really interesting how political figures are thrust to the forefront and broadcast everywhere. So then we're not going to dig through this whole thing, but U.S. Supreme Court likely to determine Trump's 2024 eligibility soon. It's can't be soon enough. I mean, why would you wait all the way until most of the way through 2023 to tell us if he's can actually, if they can determine if he can eligibly run for president? When it comes down to it, they're pushing the 14th. 14th Amendment. They're trying to say that it's the 14th Amendment that is the big deal on this. So here's the could be disqualified under Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. The measure bars someone from holding federal office if they have previously taken oath to support the Constitution and subsequently engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the same. So that's the subsection that they're looking at to see if they can remove him from being a contender. They don't want him to even be a contender because they know that he's going to win. Gotta go. Let me know if you want me on. Like I said, I'll hit you up Friday night. I'll hit you up Friday night for sure, Fast Group. I promise. Like I did last Friday. I'll do it again. So then, 14th Amendment as it be, they're gonna try enforcing this. They're gonna try enforcing this through Supreme Courts, if they can get it to stand and stop him. He was found not guilty of inciting in the Senate. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They're going to continue to push the point. They can continuously push the point. Now he has good standing with the Supreme Court. He's 3 of those appointed by himself, with the 6-3 potentially in his favor. For them to say anything different or even say the same could be dangerous. Could be dangerous to see where the left is going to go. The Democratic left is going to go after SCOTUS like they had been already. They don't like anybody that he had appointed. They think that every single one of them is a white supremacist. Makes no sense. Clarence Thomas is a white man apparently nowadays. Here's one of the headlines. Abraham Accords. 3 years later, Trump deserves a Nobel Peace Prize for his Abraham Accords. He was nominated 4 times. He was nominated 4 times for this peace in the Middle East. But now, 3 years later, oh yes, he really should get one. He should have gotten one already before. Like every other president. Like every other president that's received one, he should have received one. Should have received one already. It's nothing that we should be really talking about and trying to push, being that, hey, look what he did. Look what he did with the Middle East. With his peace in the Middle East, what he had done to stop the wars. There were no new wars created under Donald Trump. If for whatever reason to not give him his Nobel Peace Prize that he so greatly deserves for what he had done, has been destroyed. Has been destroyed by this current potato in charge. So, still politics, but go to the other side of the realm. Biden admin quietly reverses Trump era rule, bans transporting fossil fuel by train. Gee, I wonder why. Haven't even made it to East Palestine yet. Ignorantly showed up in Hawaii, but still hasn't made it to East Palestine because he doesn't care. He doesn't care. The Biden administration quietly rescinded a Trump-era regulation allowing companies to transport liquefied natural gas via rail in a victory of environmental groups. And federal filing Friday ahead of holiday weekend, the Department of Transportation's Pipeline and Hazardous Materials Safety Administration formally suspended the 2020 authorization of LNG transportation in rail tank cars. The rule will remain in effect until either a permanent rule regarding LNG rail tank car transportation is proposed and finalized, a process that may take several months. On June 30th, June 30th of 2025. Why June 30th of 2025? What would take them so long to stop the movement of these horrible liquefied natural gases? It's the dumbest thing I ever heard of. We're encouraged by the decision to suspend dangerous practice of transporting highly flammable LNG by rail through communities. We have seen the destruction and accidents can cause to communities bordering the railway route, often communities most impacted by pollution, and we support any step that it will keep it from happening again. We urge PHMSA to make the only reasonable decision available to them. Make the suspensions permanent and ban LNG by rail once and for all. Permanent. Do it. Do it. Stop transporting this shit. Trump stopped it once, but you immediately went back on everything that Trump ever did. You went back on everything Trump ever did, period, straight out. Because anything that the Orange Man Bad did was wrong and it should have never been done. All the good things that he's ever done, not one time will they actually praise him for anything that he did good. They just want to point out the bad, about the negative. The Sierra Club and several other environmental organizations like Earth Justice, Natural Resource Defense Council, and Food Water Watch have argued that allowing LNG transportation could lead to mass devastation. They have stated LNG is highly flammable and vulnerable to devastating explosions, which could destroy communities with railroads cut through. Now, I grew up in southeast Minnesota. The town that I lived in, rail ran from east to west, straight through the center of town, with city blocks bumped up to them on both sides of the tracks. And it had a little bend in it, which was opposite of the road layout. But still, the gridded pattern with that rail cut through it pretty much had, for distances, railroad cutting right through your backyard. It was ridiculous. It's ridiculous to actually see them doing this, and not willing or wanting to stop it immediately. Shows their disregard for human life. They don't care. Democratic lawmakers led by Rep. Chrissy Houlihan, a Democrat of Pennsylvania, wrote to Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg earlier this year asking for a permanent ban of LNG transportation via rail and pointed out the safety risks, cited environmental groups. According to PHMSA, the rulemaking helps the federal government avoid potential risk of public health and environmental consequences, including direct and indirect greenhouse gas emissions. The agency stated the rule also provides sufficient time to complete ongoing testing and evaluation efforts regarding LNG rail transportation and allows development of mitigation measures for such transportation. This victory can and must go deeper. Matt Smith, the director of Food and Water Watch, said in the statement, the Biden administration should take action to eliminate the threat of fracked gas bomb trains entirely, and it must do more to stop new fossil fuel projects across the country. On June 2020, the Trump administration announced it had finalized the rule greenlighting the rail shipment of LNG. Former Transportation Secretary Elaine Chao said the agency had put new safeguards in place to prevent dangerous accidents. Shortly after the rule was implemented, a coalition of environmental groups in Democratic-led states sued PHMSA over the rule. However, in 2020, rule was supported by Republican lawmakers in states of the rail industry, which said it was committed to freight rail transportation safety. The extended hold on the rule of transportation LNG by rail is disappointing. Transporting LNG has a proven safety record, with our country continuing to face rising energy prices. We should be incentivizing critical infrastructure that can provide additional capacity to the United States. We should not have to rely on foreign sources of LNG to meet demand in certain parts of the country, she continued. Long also penned a letter to MSA in late 2021 in response to the proposal to suspend the LNG rail rule. Similarly, arguing industry was prepared for safety transport the fossil fuel. Daniel Schmidt, senior counsel of major freight companies CSX, warned at the time that the suspension of the 2020 regulations would impose significant cost burdens on the company and would inadvertently impose safety and environmental risks. So either way, transporting these goods anywhere is unsafe. It's unsafe to actually transport LNG no matter what. So if it's unsafe to transport it, you should figure out that factories that use these particular goods should be built near the facilities that are producing the gas. Why would you think that that you should transport any of this ever? If it's that bad, why ever? It's so dumb. So pure the cost cutting exercise in railway building that they do that. I mean, it could be, but they're trying to say that it's going to cost more to transport it any other way and have other catastrophic implications to go along with it. So whatever it is that they decide to do with LNG, maybe they need to stop. Maybe they need to stop transporting and put this on Joe Biden. I don't put it on. I don't put it on Pete Buttigieg. It's not just on Buttigieg. It's on Biden. Okay, so because we're talking Joe Biden, I think, yeah, this is the last one on Joe Biden. Where are we at? Hour and 36? Not bad. So it says Joe Biden gets defensive about his vacation time and Rehoboth Beach. There's a video to go along with it. It says Joe Biden and Sonny howled over the reporters, posted up on King Charles Avenue outside the St. Edmund Catholic Church. Biden has spent more time on a solid year vacation with visitors logs. August snoozing on the beach, hiding Lake Tahoe. Nobody wants to see that. What the heck? Why would they put that on the screen? Who wants to see that? Anybody? I don't think anybody does. Okay, so this is what he goes and says as he's walking up the place. No. I have no home. What though you're on vacation yet one more time, you have no home to go to. What are you talking about?
By the way, the reason I'm here today, just for one day, I know I'm on vacation. I'm not. I have no home to go to. The Secret Service has torn my house up in a good way to make it secure. So I have no place to go when I come to Delaware. I'm here right now. I'm only here for one day.
Are you homeless? Is that what you're telling us?
No, I'm not homeless. I just have one home. I have a beautiful home. I'm down here for the day because I can't go home.
What do you want to achieve in?
I'm down here today because I can't go home. I have a home. I just can't go there because the Secret Service has destroyed my house to make it safer. Why do you are you sure they're not just building an ice cream parlor off the back? So you don't have to leave. You'd be like, let's go get some ice cream. It's off the back of the garage. I'm not homeless. I just can't go home. Idiot. Freaking idiot. some of this I wish I would have covered yesterday. I was so tired yesterday that I didn't want to do a whole show. And I had some stuff up that I potentially could have done, but I skipped over a bunch of it. I skipped over, like this. Elon Musk threatens to sue the Anti-Defamation League and release communications between the Anti-Defamation League and other groups pushing to censor Twitter accounts. Elon Musk on Labor Day tweeted out that he will consider releasing communications with the Anti-Defamation League, a hardcore anti-First Amendment organization that has pushed Twitter X for years to crack down on conservative anti-establishment accounts. Elon Musk noted. What the heck was that? Elon Musk noted in response to Lives of TikTok that the ADL has pushed Twitter X to crack down on accounts like Lives of TikTok, despite the fact that the account is nothing to do with anti-Semitism, which is their supposed character. So then, dear Elon, please consider releasing all the communications to provide full transparency on the ADL and all other organizations that have pushed to censor certain accounts on Twitter. Sincerely, thousands of users who have been suspended, throttled, silenced, and shadow banned. Great point. A giant data dump would clear the air. Get him. Get him. Go ahead, do just that. Elon then posted a tweet on X. He may have to sue the Anti-Defamation League for defamation to clear our platform's name in the matter of anti-Semitism. It looks like we have no choice but file a defamation lawsuit against the Anti-Defamation League. Oh, the irony. And then Elon posted tweets exposing the far-left ADL's vile agenda against free speech. Against free speech. Over and over again. The Anti-Defamation League just so happens to be, and the way he put it was just remove the anti and just call them what they really are, the Defamation League. We'll get there, Ellie. We'll get there. We'll get there, but we can't do it here. We can't do it here. We're going to do that over on the Rumble side. We will talk about how Joe and what Joe Biden's doing because of the reasons that Joe does have Koof. I'm actually not going to cover this one. I'm not going to. That was Kenneth Baxton. We'll cover him still at some point in time. There's a lot to go through with that particular situation. This article was written for me in mind. Actually, segregating children is racist. Really? What a recollection. Just so that you're caught up on what liberal anti-racist means, here's a helpful addition to the handbook. Segregating children by skin color and keeping minority children away from white children is good, while opposing the segregation makes you a racist. Such as the lesson out of Oakland, California, where the elementary school held a play date for minority children only, an utterly backward attempt to make minority children feel more comfortable at a predominantly white school. As a member of the school's Equity and Inclusion Committee put it, we created our event knowing we live in a country where everything is white by default. When people say American, they automatically think white. No, not true. Thanks for putting words in everybody's mouth and actually making them think that. But nope, that's not what it is. It's about freedom, a wonderful place to live for all. All, every single one of us. Not me, not just you, but everyone should be treated, fairly. But no. Nothing says inclusion like affirming that thought and creating separate events for the other children, which would be the opposite of the white default. Then again, maybe the Bay Area, one of the most liberal areas in the country, is also one of the most racist. Who would seem to be take away the columnist Justin Phillips? Phillips bemoans the evil racists would accuse the school of bringing back segregation in schools. By segregating children based on race, he complains that the Bay Area is indeed full of vehement racists, and the 2 or 3 examples of the pervasive racism being words written in the bathroom stalls of the schools. He also complains that San Francisco hasn't approved reparations for the slavery. Turns out the Bay Area Democrats are the real racists. Phillips' main focus, though, is on the threats of hateful emails that were sent to the school once the news was of the event hit the internet. As it turns out, the internet is full of terrible people who say terrible things with keywords over just about everything, not just racism. College athletes get death threats over poor game performances. It's a lousy side effect of the internet. But anything that makes people mad garners a similar reaction to what Oakland's segregated school event did. The entirely online reaction doesn't prove the necessity of the event, as Phillips contends. At the end of the day, this event was segregation. It clearly encourages minority children to avoid white children, no matter what babbling economic justification you want to give it. The event tells minority children that they are the other to the white children's defaults. They're just as smart as the white kids. Come on now. Joe Biden tell you that. Consider this. If you ask a racist if all minority children should have their own play dates separate from white children, what do you think the answer would be? It would be the same answer that Phillips and the school's inclusion bureaucrats gave. The only difference would be that the actual damage being done here is being done by the children courtesy of the school that is supposed to prepare them for the real world and media publication that is supposed to inform and persuade the public, both of whom are saying that segregating children is good and necessary. Oh, okay, now it's good and necessary. Good thing that they all fought to actually get themselves to the point of not being separated, but to be equal. To be equal. That's what we're supposed to be. But they want to push this crap. They want to push the left is so ignorant that now they say, oh, well, let's flip it the other way. Phillips is right that this whole ordeal proves that the racism is alive and well in America. He just blissfully unaware of where the racism is coming from. Ignorance. Ignorance at its best. They keep on pushing for things that they know isn't good. And when it comes down to it, that when they get their way, when they finally get these play groups, these segregated play groups that they wish to have, in the future, it's going to stop. It's going to stop those kids from getting along with their white counterparts. Everybody should be treated exactly the same. Quit treating everybody so ignorantly. It pisses me off. It's so sad. Liberals are racist. Liberals be, I'm not racist. I'm not racist. My mate is black. Thank you, Ellie. Thank you, Ellie, for pushing that point. When it comes down to it's just that sad, just that sad that liberals will actually go to this point. Actually, like it says on the screen, go to this point of segregating their children as they scream racism. As they scream racism because everything is always just so white. It's not. Stop it. Trying to think where I'm at here. So then eventually we're going to go over to Rumble exclusively. And I just want to be sure that we're going to be able to cover the rest of this without. Yeah, we should be able to do this. Mayor of Casper, Wyoming says homeless squatters destroyed local motel, left hundreds of pounds of feces in the streets. In Casper, Wyoming. Homeless people everywhere. Bruce Nell, Mayor of Casper, Wyoming, is claiming that the homeless squatters destroyed the motel in the city and left hundreds of pounds of feces in the city streets. This is sort of a story one expects to hear about places like San Francisco, not a red state like Wyoming. The homeless population in Casper is very small, but they sure did a lot of damage. Really? They did that much damage? Homeless destroyed a hotel and there's over 500 pounds of feces? Who weighed that? Who scooped it up and weighed it and said, look what they did. They defecated everywhere. And it's over 500 pounds. 200 homeless people. 200 homeless people. Look what they did to that hotel room. No respect for anything. No respect for anything. Ripping posters off the walls. Just destroying these wonderful hotels. So then where was this? Why did this one didn't originally take me anywhere? So that one also shows the same pictures. Homeless destroyed motel in Wyoming City. Leave about 500 pounds of feces in the streets. It's gross. It's gross. There's no reason for any of this. If you have no self-respect, it gives you no respect for anything else. And that's exactly what these people have done. They've gone to these towns, all these different places, and showed zero respect and expect handouts. Expect whatever it is that they wish, because they're broken, and they have nowhere to go. They're homeless. You can't have any respect for anything. The mayor said the homeless individuals moved into a vacant Econo Lodge motel and left them millions of dollars of repairs. Others have moved into abandoned homes with no running water or electricity. If you just vandalize everything, destroy everything, burglarize it, it's okay. Biden appointed judge rules religious parents can't opt kids out of pro-LGBT school lessons. If your Muslim, Catholic, Orthodox parents argue the school board's no opt-out policy violates their constitutional rights, he absolutely does. As new school year kicks into gear, the Biden appointed federal judges using the legal equivalent of grade inflation to prop up the misguided efforts of local schools board and indoctrinate students with gender ideology. On August 24th, the U.S. District Court judge denied the requested injunction from a group of Muslim, Catholic, and Orthodox parents to opt their children out of LGBT storybook lessons, exposing the judge's grave misunderstanding of the Supreme Court's religious freedom jurisprudence. The stone's throw from Washington, D.C., Montgomery County Public Schools is one of the largest public school systems in the country, with roughly 70,000 students attending elementary school. Last fall, the Montgomery County Board of Education announced it was adopting a collection of more than 20 LGBTQ plus inclusive books for use in pre-K through 8th grade. Pre-K? Why do you need to actually go ahead and force LGBTQ plus inclusivity to pre-K students? 3 and 4-year-olds do not need to be subject to this crap, this degeneracy of what you actually call LGBTQ. Most of the L's and the G's and the B's don't like the T's. They tried changing the Q to questioning. Questioning. That's what they want to change it to. Why? Because they don't believe that the Q is being used properly. The collection calls for the pre-K students from 3 to 5. Read Pride Puppy, the story of 2 women who take their children on a Pride Day parade. A word list using the letters of the alphabet to show what a child might see includes words like leather, underwear, and drag queen. 5th graders, typically 10 through 11 years old children, will read Born Ready, the true story of a boy named Penelope, about the elementary school aged girl who tells her mother, "I don't feel like a boy, I am a boy." Her mother agrees to tell their family that we know you're a boy. But when Penelope's brother protests, "You can't become a boy, you have to be born one," he told that not everything needs to make sense. This is about love. Really? Really? Is it about love or ignorance? So gross. So gross. And you're going to see more and more schools succumb to this type of bullshit. And of course, you got mother-daughter who received $100,000 settlement in Landmark's secret gender transition case. Yes, mental illness. What's up, Go Hagen? Good to see you, brother. The California School District is sued over allegations that teachers and staff at Buena Vista Middle School in Salinas coached an 11-year-old girl to socially transition to a male gender identity, settled with the girl and her mother for $100,000. The lawsuit, filed in June 14, 2022, names Sparkles Union School District, the principal of the school, and 2 teachers as defendants. Jessica Conan, the child's mother, came forward after a leaked audio recording revealed the 2 teachers telling other educators about how they secretly recruited students into the school's LGBT club at a California Teachers Association weekend conference in Palm Springs, California in October 2021. The event was billed as the 2021 LGBTQ plus issues conference beyond the binary identity and imagining possibilities. The 2 teachers were later suspended and no longer work in the district. Ms. Conan told the Epoch Times that she's relieved that the settlement has finally been reached. It's a massive victory across America for myself, for my daughter, and for the parents experiencing similar situations. Our voices made a difference. Finally, somebody's voice made a difference. They made it such a difference in California that they were able to sue and receive $100,000 for what it is amazing. It's amazing. And every single one of these teachers should be immediately fired, removed from ever being able to hold this type of position of job ever again in any school district, not just this one. Any. Remove them. Destroying children's lives with your own ignorance. 14-year-old boy dies from viral TikTok one chip challenge. How many times have you seen people actually eat one chip? The one chip challenge, the hottest, most spicy chip ever. And they're supposed to eat it, whatever, just one. And this 14-year-old boy just so happened to succumb to it. Sounds like dissociative behavior to me. Yeah. Well, you're not wrong. Sure, he did. The 14-year-old boy died and participated in TikTok challenge referred to as the One Chip Challenge. Harris Wallaby, 14 of Worcester, Massachusetts, died on Friday. His family said his death was a result of complications from an extremely spicy chip that he ate for a challenge he saw on social media site TikTok. The 14-year-old student in Worcester, Massachusetts, died on Friday, officials said, from an extremely spicy chip that's subject to viral challenge. Harris Wallaby's mother confirmed to NBC 10 Boston that the family believes the teenager died from complications from the one chip challenge. The Worcester School Community of Mourning Harris, a sophomore at Daughtry Memorial School. The superintendent, Rachel Manner, said the statement on Sunday, calling him a rising star. Harris's cause of death has not been confirmed, and officials didn't share more information about the circumstances around it. The One Chip Challenge is a social media challenge that involves eating purportedly the spiciest tortilla chip in the world when waiting as long as possible before eating and drinking something for relief. The chip, made by Packway, comes in a coffee container and has a warning that it should be kept away from children. It is only for adults to eat and shouldn't be eaten by anyone who is sensitive to spicy food or within an allergen. The video talks about Harrison's love for basketball. His coach had some kind word for him. I'm not going to watch the video. There was a time when peer pressure was desired to fit the based on proximity to people. In the age of social media, those rules don't apply. The reach now is beyond that, which is why parents need to know what their kids are up to. Unfortunately, dangerous things like this have occurred online in recent past too. About 5 years ago, a Tide Pod challenge emerged as encouraged people, mostly young, to bite into a detergent pod. So to put this up to the likeness of Tide Pod is big difference. This is something that you're actually supposed to eat, not a package of soap that's not necessarily meant to be consumed in any way, shape, or form. Just the whole thing, it's so upsetting. It's so upsetting. It's sad. It's sad that this young man actually succumbed to this one chip challenge. If that's the case, if that is indeed the case, I would assume that there's a lot more that go along with it. There has to be more to it than just him eating a single chip. Not that I'm going to discredit that this chip is super hot, because apparently it is. I won't try it. I refuse. And I like spicy food. At the end of the day, is Darwinism sad but true? The weakest will be called especially mentally deficient. Yep. Two detained for irreversibly damaging the Great Wall of China. The suspects had breached the World Heritage Site with an excavator. Two people have been detained for damaging the section of the Great Wall in China with an excavator, national media reported on Monday, citing the Shaanxi Cultural Relics Bureau. Police are initially notified that the incident in Yu County in late August, according to officials. The 38-year-old man and a 55-year-old woman were working on a construction project nearby and had used the machine to widen a gap in the wall in order to create a shortcut to pass through. The suspects had caused irreversible damage to the integrity of the UNESCO World Heritage Site, one of China's most recognizable national symbols and a popular tourist attraction. The mall, equipped with watchtowers, spans over 20,000 kilometers across the northern part of the country. It is believed that the construction started nearly 2,000 years ago as a defensive line against nomadic tribes. It has since been rebuilt several times and exists sections of the wall, mostly dating back to the Ming Dynasty, 1368 to 1644. How dumb. According to 2016 report, Global Times, most of the 6,259 kilometers are less than 10% of the Ming era wall is well preserved, as the structure has long been crumbling due to both natural and man-made factors. Shaanxi province, the wall has been subjected to rampant brick theft, especially in the 1970s when locals dug out the bricks and used them to build houses and other facilities, in the Global Times said. I believe it. I believe it when it comes down to it. And for these people to go ahead and destroy it with an excavator, like, it's just some strange wall. Just some strange wall. We don't own it. It's okay. We should destroy it with this excavator. Fucking retards. Pilot dies in gender reveal stunt with a video. As you can see, when you watch that video, the cannon that launched the pink smoke destroys that airplane. Destroys that airplane for this gender reveal. She's looking up at it. He's looking away. He's just going to see the pink and he's going to get excited as that pilot immediately comes careening into the ground. As these two are now excited, hugging each other and spinning in a circle. Doubt that's going to be the way to do a gender reveal anytime soon. We're going to go away from YouTube after this. After this, we're going to go make ourselves over to Rumble. Hello, Maddie. It's good for them. The party of Southern Democrats is pushed racial division. Teachers union is too strong. I hope Trump is able to break them. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Something sweet to leave YouTube side with. Entire family shares same birthday as twins are born the same day as both of their parents. A couple with the same birthday is thrilled after their twins were born on the same day. The entire family now shares the same birthday. Take me out of that family. I don't want anything to do with having the same birthday as everybody else. I don't see how exciting that can be. Oh, well, it's all of our birthdays, so let's just make a cake. They're not going to make 4 cakes. Sierra Blair couldn't believe it when the doctors revealed that their babies were ready to be born 10 days earlier than their due date, and she was told to go straight to the hospital to deliver the twins. She and her partner, Jose Irvin, welcomed the babies, Jose Jr. and Aria, 30 minutes after midnight on August 18th in Cleveland, Ohio. The 30-year-olds were told one of the babies were breached. Sierra would have to have a C-section. At that point, it was turned to 5 p.m. and they were healthy. So I suggested we wait a few hours so that we could be born on our birthday. They met last year when Jose kept seeing her around and took it as a sign to speak to her when she revealed her birthday to be the same as his. Jose thought that she was joking until he saw her ID, then took it as another sign that they should be together. He is beyond happy that they can share the big day with their children and children now too. It's the best birthday gift ever. I truly feel like it's a blessing from God, and I wouldn't have done it any other way. Very strange, very odd. You don't have Rumble, Elizabeth. What in the world? How do you not have Rumble? We need to get you over there. We need to get you over there on that Rumble. Because things that we can't talk about here, like goof, things like that, things associated to that, is really something to pay attention to. I wish we could cover it over here. I'd just cover it here if I could, but I know that I can't. I know that I can't, and I don't want to risk my well-being here on the YouTube side of things by actually talking about it, because I know that's a bad thing. So then, before we go over, we're going to talk about some election stuff. We're going to talk about some goof. We're going to talk about a particular congressman's war on weed. We'll watch a couple of clips of things that Cringe Jean-Pierre has said about Joe Biden and goof. And then we'll round it out. We'll round it out at the very end. We'll actually watch a video that shows jewelry store owners fighting off an attempted robber. Very dangerous in itself. Something that we couldn't watch here. We could not. There's no way that they would let us. So we're gonna go away. We're gonna go over to Rumble. YouTube side of things. I do appreciate y'all so much. I really do. Thank you so much for being here. For those of you that can, here you go. Here's a link. Go click on that link, and you bring yourself over. You go watch. You go sign up. Elizabeth, go sign up. No, I love you. Thank you so much for being here. I do appreciate y'all. And I'm going to see if I can get this to work.
People aren't buying at CNN, you dumb bastards. They're not buying it.